Good morning, everybody. Come on in and have a seat, and we'll call our meeting to order. Got several things we want to do today. Before we start, I'd like to make a point to recognize some special guests that we have with us in the back. I know all of you have been instrumental along the way in looking at what our federally qualified health centers are doing. We have several of those folks with us today in the back, and would you all stand up and let us welcome you to the Capitol? Thank you all for being here, and thank you for what you do. We say bless. Bruce, you open us up with a prayer, please.
Can you hear me, Ramon? Let's pray. Gracious God, thank you for the gift of this day, Lord. We just ask for your wisdom to be imparted upon us, Father. May everything we do and say be pleasing in your sight. Protect us through the day, keep our families safe, and bless those, everyone that's working and serving at this Capitol. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started and hear from our friends over here. We got a busy day going on, so Senator Kilpatrick, come on up and tell us what you got on your mind there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill is on the yellow sheet on page 6. It's Senate Bill 341. And it just passed out of committee yesterday, but I'm anxious to present it to you, so I appreciate your attention. This bill will probably look familiar to some of you because it's to streamline our government, and it removes a whole bunch of inactive boards and commissions that are no longer functional from our code. It also changes the leadership of the Legislative Affairs Committee to rotate it between the House and the Senate, and this is something that the leadership on both sides have been working on for a while. And it also does away with pre-files, which should relieve the administrative burden on our House and Senate staff. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Don't see any questions.
Thank you very much.
Ma'am. Senator Alvarez, come on up. What did we? I'm sorry. There is a question. Excuse me. Chair Lady Smith.
Is it not true that I'm asking you humorously, can we limit the number of bills that one individual legislator introduces?
I'm sorry, the number of inactive boards and commissions?
No, I'm just, when you said you were limiting certain things, I wanted to add the number of bills that any legislator can introduce to maybe 40 instead of 60.
I'm hoping that this is the last time you'll see me in the Rules Committee this session, but thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Senator Alvarez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On your blue sheets, page 2, fifth from the bottom is Senate Bill 472. This is combating organized retail crime. This is closing a loophole in the Inform Act, which this General Assembly has led on to protect our retailers for organized criminal street gangs and other large organized groups that are stealing and putting things online.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Don't
Thank
see
you.
any questions. Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First time in front of you here is in the rules capacity, and congratulate you on, I know you do a great job in that, and glad to see you here. To the comment about limiting the number of bills, I only did 3 this year, and this is one of them. It's Senate Bill 366, the very last bill on the calendar, but I do want to add that I have passed out 13 bills in finance of House bills over there. I only sent 3 over here. 2 of them have yet to have a hearing, and so I would appreciate some help in that manner. We hope to continue to hear House bills in finance. This particular bill got modified significantly in the House, but I think there's still a lot of good in it. It puts some transparency in the tax credits where they're a little bit more prominently noted so that people can see the dollar impact. It also will set up, we did a pretty extensive study on tax credits this year. It was the first time in 12 years. This simply says that, you know, at least a day out of each year we will get together and review the ones that we've studied in the last year, and it sets some rules up on continuing the process of having a certain number studied, particularly those that are high dollar amounts.
Okay, we do have a question. Williamson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Huffstell, is it not true that you and Chairman Blackman have worked tirelessly this entire session to come to consensus on some of the best legislation affecting taxpayers in the state of Georgia? Is that not true?
I appreciate the comments. I think we both worked pretty hard on this, and hopefully we'll get some rewards out of it.
Thank you, sir. Don't see any other questions.
Thank you.
Senator Cowser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pleasure to be before you and the committee this morning. I have two bills. First one's on page 2, about halfway down, SB 433. This is a mechanism to allow for enforcement of charitable donations where there is a written agreement and the donor that's giving the funds has a specific intent they want the funds to be used for. If the recipient agrees to be bound by those terms and fails to do so, this gives a mechanism to go to court to enforce that agreement.
Okay, don't see any questions on that one. You got another one?
The second one's on your last page, page 3. It's SB 520. Truly one of the quickest bills. It's probably thicker than you think it should be in your folders, but this just substitutes language of an income deduction order, which we have used in Georgia law for child support enforcement. With the new federal term, they're using an income withholding order. There are 4 or 5 different code sections that enable us to enforce child support orders, and this conforms us with the federal definitions and their nomenclature. There's also a form that the OMB uses now or requires for income withholding, and we codify that in the Georgia code.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. Senator Brass.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, good morning. I've got on your first page, 5 up from the bottom, SB 230, and that is just simply a foster parents' Bill of Rights, just ensuring that our foster parents recognize them as a vital part of the team and allowing them to work a little bit more closely with the department. Any questions?
You don't see any questions on
Okay.
230. You got another one?
And then on page 2, 10 down from the top, SB 440, and this is comes out of our study committee we did over the interim around dual enrollment, and it's really just simplifying the program.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you,
All
sir.
right, great, thank y'all.
Thank you. Senator, come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have SB 534, which is on page 3 of the rule sheet. It's always good to be back with my former colleagues in the House today. This bill is a marketplace innkeeper bill, which will be for VRBO, Airbnb, Expedia, anyone that sells on the marketplace, to provide consumers with a disclosure as to what is a tax and what is a fee, and also to itemize the taxes that the consumer is paying so that they can't lump it into one line item and say taxes and fees together. Consumers should know which taxes they're paying and which fees they're paying, so that when constituents call, you don't hear, why am I paying so much in taxes? And they send it to you, I don't know what the tax is or what the fee is because it hadn't been disclosed. There was a substitute by Representative Maynor inside of the committee. We support that as well, which would just require businesses to provide a store credit if they can't give the individual a refund of the exact change of what they paid. And I understand there's going to be a sub that Chairman Lumsden has that will also be supported as well by me, and Chairman can speak to that sub. I've not seen it yet, but in full support.
Good. Thank you, sir. Don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Tillery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 376, it's in the juvenile code, and will be carried if you pick it by Representative Gullett over here on this side, relating to termination of parental rights, and in cases where a case plan has been laid out for a parent to follow to see if we could be able to reunify them with their child. If they're not meeting all the requirements, the termination would be able to speed up slightly.
All right, sir. Don't see any questions. Thank you.
I have another one,
Okay.
Senate Bill 426, if you
All right,
if
sir.
you let me do two.
Yes, sir.
It's a tort reform measure, direct action.
Any questions on 426? Don't see any.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator, come on up.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. How you doing? I've got three on the sheet on the second page. The third one down, SB 395. It's Wesley's Law. It has to do with making fentanyl or opioid anti-agents more readily available in schools, dealing with naloxone and Narcan. Currently, only nurses can carry it or administer it in schools. This would open up where teachers could carry it as well. And then I've got SB 422. Has to do with EMCs. There's 4 gas marketers in the state of Georgia that are owned by EMCs. This bill would allow them to increase the investment that they can make against their fixed assets. Currently, it's at 15%. This would raise it to 25%. And then there's also disclosures in there where they have to notify members within a certain amount of time if they make any kind of purchases of companies or any type of growth that they do, just making the members aware. And then SB 508, that has to do with our justices and our state and local judges and their spouses. It will allow them to keep their personal information confidential, dealing with their address and phone numbers.
Okay. Don't see any questions on any of those.
Thank you, Mr.
Sir.
Chairman.
Appreciate you being here. Okay, do we have any committee members that would like to? Well, I'm sorry, Senator Gooch, I didn't see you there. Excuse me. Go ahead.
I was just hanging out in the back listening to all you guys. Good morning. It's great to be with you. I have SB 507. It's on your first page under modified open rule. This is a simple license plate bill. There's about 400 other license plates in Georgia. This adds one to the list, and it's under the name of America First. So love to take questions, but ask for you to consider putting this on your calendar in the near future.
We do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. In reading the bill, is it your understanding that this license plate would foster or reinforce unity?
Sir?
Do you think that this license plate would foster unity?
Absolutely.
In this political climate?
I'm hoping the gentleman just walked in the door is going to bring this display up here for me. I'm going to show you what it stands for. It does stand for unity and patriotism. If you love your country, I think you'll love this license plate. It's got the image of the American flag on it, and this will be a sample of what the tag will be. Obviously, the letters USA is just for display purposes only, but you'll have whatever your normal letters and numbers are on the tag. So,
I think just given the history of the term America First, I know a lot of my colleagues have concerns with it. But thank you.
If you go back in history, you'll learn that even our founding fathers of this country used that term America First. George Washington used it. Teddy Roosevelt used it. John F. Kennedy, the president, not the pro tem, President John F. Kennedy has used it. We're hoping our pro tem Kennedy will use it going forward as well. But no joking aside, Ronald Reagan, just about every decade, one of the leaders running for president or whoever became president has used this term, and I think we all put America first. Every one of us put our hands on the Bible and take an oath of office when we ran for office here, and some of you, men and women, have served in our military. You took an oath of office when you were sworn in to those jobs and those duties to protect our country, and our nation comes first. And I think this says it all, America First. Thank you for the question.
Don't see any other questions, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good to be with y'all.
Senator Robertson, you got a request for us this morning? Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to say mine has nothing to do with the license plate. Mine is basically granting rights to certain adult adoptees in Georgia. It's SB 64, which is number 1 on the modified structured rule blue sheet. What this would do is it would allow an adoptee, when they turn 18 years of age, to go to the local vital records and get a copy of their original birth certificate, which all of us can do now. Today, if they wanted to go and get one, they would have to hire an attorney and go get a court order, and they would have to take it, get a Superior Court judge to give them the right to do that, and all we're doing is taking that out. We talked to an attorney the other day that does this, and she said that her average starting cost to do this for somebody is somewhere between $2,500 and $5,000.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I don't see any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, I think that takes care of everybody on the wall. We have any members of the committee that would like to make a request? Senator Hawkins, Representative Hawkins, excuse me.
I'd like to put my name next to SB 455, Strickland.
Okay, I'm gonna save us some time. I'm gonna put all y'all's names by all the bills, so we won't have to do that. So let the record reflect that. Okay, we have another one. Dean Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All 9 of my probate judges have asked for Senate Bill 212.
212. Okay. Thank you, sir, for all 9 of those probate judges. Thank you. You got them too? All right. Vice Chair Ballinger.
Thank you. I would like to put my name beside and support Senate Bill 454. It's guidelines for child support calculations. This is basically the child support, the Georgia Commission on Child Support comes up with a bill every year to update the code, and this is their bill.
Okay. Any questions on that? Have a question? Somebody, Representative Martin, Chairman Martin, you have a question? Okay. All right. Good. Okay. All right. Any other? Representative Jones?
I think Powell has a question.
Chairman Powell, do you have a question?
Name beside SB 368.
Whoops. 368, okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to ask for the committee's consideration for Senate Bill 233.
Okay, 233 is on your yellow sheet and it's in your book. Have a question. Representative Hughley?
I was going to ask for something else, but I will ask the question on that if you're recognizing me to do so. I believe in that bill we are raising the dollar amount for the SSOs from $5 million to $15 million. Is that correct?
Thank you for the question. No, ma'am. This is the a current existing tax credit for public schools. It was championed by Representative Brooks Coleman, and it is currently and has been $5 million a year that Georgians can elect for their tax liability up to $2,500 to go to public schools. We are taking that existing program and tripling the amount of money to $15 million, 2/3 of which, $10 million, could only be utilized in schools that perform in the lowest 25%.
Okay, we have another question. Whip Park has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. SB 233, Speaker Pro Tem, that is the voucher bill, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and is there a fiscal note in terms of any cost estimate that this will cost the state over the next few years? I know we've had this discussion before, but I
There's
do think it's
absolutely
important.
not a fiscal note, nor would one be appropriate. The start date has been delayed in the bill until the 25-26 school year, so it would not be a budget that is under consideration here. But furthermore, a fiscal note for a tax bill would be appropriate. This is not a tax bill. This is no different than any other item that appears in the budget. It has to be appropriated. So it could be zero, or the bill has a new cap on it. It could equal as much as 1% of QBE, although it is not taken out of QBE.
Would you be open to yielding for one more question? My understanding is that similar legislation or similar laws such as this in Arizona and in Florida have essentially exploded the state's budget, in which safeguards and guardrails have been subsequently removed after it was initially passed, in which I think this sort of program costs up to $900 million a year. Do you have any concerns, again, in terms of the fiscal impact this will have on the state of Georgia?
Well, I don't know about Florida. I know that Arizona did not have a cap. This has a cap. And so the appropriation in another year could be as little as zero, and it could be as much as $140 million. There's no defined entitlement that requires the state to fund this unless we choose to do that through the budget process.
Thank you.
Don't see any other questions. Thank you. Okay, we're going to set a calendar, a supplemental calendar for today, day 35, and we're going to ask for Senate Bill 233 that be put on the supplemental calendar for today. Is there a move? Move. We have a move in several seconds. Is there objection? There is objections. All those in favor of putting it on, raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. It passes. It's on. You'll recognize Vice Chair for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that all matters on the supplemental calendar debate be limited to 1 hour, time to be divided at the discretion of the chair.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Is there a second? Second. Have a second. Any opposition? There is opposition. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All those opposed? It's limited. Okay. Now, let's move on and look for Monday, the 18th of March. That'll be day 36. Let's set a calendar for that. Under modified structure, Senate Bill 169.
Move.
Have a move and a second. Is there objection? It's on. Senate Bill 376.
Move.
Move and seconded. Is there objection? It's on. Senate Bill 398.
Move.
Have move and seconds. Any objection? It's on. Senate Bill 401.
Move.
Seconds. It's seconded. Any objection? It's on. Senate Bill 422.
Move.
Moves and seconded. Any objection? It's on. Senate Bill 426.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any objection? It's on. Senate Bill 440.
Move.
Moved in several seconds. Any objection? It's on. Senate Bill 454.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any objections? It's on. Senate Bill 456.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Is there objection? It's on. Senate Bill 480.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any objection? It's on. Senate Bill 508.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any objection? It's on. Under structured, Senate Bill 366.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any objections? It's on. Let me read those back. Let's make sure we've got this straight. For supplemental today, Senate Bill 233. For the Monday calendar, Senate Bill 169, Senate Bill 376, Senate Bill 398, Senate Bill 401, Senate Bill 422, Senate Bill 426, Senate Bill 440, Senate Bill 454, Senate Bill 456, Senate Bill 480, Senate Bill 508, and under structured, Senate Bill 366. Okay, recognize Vice, you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a parliamentary inquiry regarding Senate Bill 233 and the application of Rule 33.3. I wanted to ensure that the minority had an opportunity, the minority report per House Rule 56 would also apply to Senate Bill 233.
Okay.
So will there be an opportunity for the minority report? I know the deadline to file that was today by 5 o'clock, per House rules.
Hold on a second here. Okay, I'm told you have time to file that report. Go ahead and get that done, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, we've got that listing, and I'm going to recognize the vice chair for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to Rule 33.3, I move that debate be limited to Monday's calendar to 1 hour, time to be divided at the discretion of the chair.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? There is objection. All those in favor of limiting debate, raise your hand. All those opposed? It passes. Okay. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.